Hey everyone, this is me, Mai, coming to you with the fourth episode of Where's My Lit? Hee hee hee. And this one is finally on 2666 by Roberto Bolaño. This book has taken me months to go through. I started this back in December last year and have been reading it on and off since then. I don't know if I'm glad to have read it or not. I'll let you guys decide on it. It was definitely an adventure. But before we get into that, I do want to apologize for the podcast sometimes coming off as two different ones on Spotify. I'm really trying to kind of figure that out. So just bear with me while I fix that. But other than that, let's go back to the book. So this book is a long-ass book with a weird-ass plot. And many times I wanted to give up on it, but I am that weirdo who has to finish a whole book once they start it because some cost fallacy, you know. So I'll give you the story behind how I even came across this book, because I would not have picked it up at the bookstore or bookmarked it on my Goodreads account. It was actually recommended to me by someone who just finished their master's in literature, and our taste in fiction was similar. So I took their suggestion seriously, and I ordered it on Amazon and started reading it. And then once I did, I immediately knew it wasn't for me, but I always give myself these impossible challenges to take on, which is why I kept at it. I'd go through a few pages here and there and finally gave myself a 10-page-a-day push. This push helped me, to complete reading the book, which I'm so glad that I did. I would not read this book the second time. It's not something that you would want to, revisit every few years. It's not, like for me, books that I would love to reread again is A Tree Grows in Brooklyn. That's the last book that I did a review on, as well as 1Q84 by Murakami. This one's definitely not like that. This is a read once and be done with it kind of book. So a little bit about the plot and the author of this book. It was published in 2004, originally in Spanish, then translated to English and released in 2008. The author, Roberto Bolaño, is Chilean, and this book is the last one he wrote before his passing in 2003 from liver failure. The book is critically acclaimed and a recipient of the National Book Critic Award, which is apparently a really big deal. Excuse the frog. In my opinion, and this is, just keep in mind that I have not read any of his other books. I'm very interested in reading Savage Detectives, or I don't know how to say it, but apparently it's really great. But I need to take a break from Bolaño's writing, I'm not going to lie. But the WTF style of writing of this specific book may have been the result of him understanding that he is nearing the end of his life. Hence, he kind of just unapologetically did his thing. I found certain parts of this book extremely triggering. It was nonchalantly homophobic and sexist and very graphic, almost like the author knew that this would have that kind of shock value on the reader. So originally, the author intended this to be 5 separate books. However, it was decided after his death that all of them will be combined in one giant clusterfuck of 2666, the thing that I'm holding in my hand right now. And this is probably why I felt like I needed long breaks before starting each portion, as the stories and timelines were switching around a bit too much for my liking. Some parts that I did enjoy, in a torturous way, were the more than a page long sentences in some parts of the book. He would kind of just ramble on and on about the randomest, most unrelated shit. And for some reason, it kind of flowed at the same time. You wouldn't even notice until you're like a page in that this is just one sentence and it's not stopping, which is really cool. There is this part in the book. I'm not going to read it because it's just so much, but he goes on a tangent about the different types of mancies, like, for example, necromancy. And then he just goes on and on about it, like botanomancy, blah, 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 mancies. And it's just really funny because it gets very nuanced at one point. And then there's also another part where he talks about the different types of phobias. And I believe there's like this director of this psychiatric ward lady who, starts talking about these phobias. And it just goes on and on. Like at first it's just, a regular phobia. And then it goes on to like this very random phobia, I think like a fear of sticks or something like that. And I was like, oh my goodness, like this goes on for 2 pages. So that was really fun to to read about. I was kind of cracking up actually. But yeah, if any of you guys have read those portions, I would love to know your opinion on that. So the main part of the book, at least to me, are the mysterious femicides that occur in a town in Mexico called Santa Teresa. It's fictional, however, is based on the actual similar happenings of Ciudad Juarez in Mexico. So there is this large part in the book where he just goes on and on about the meticulous descriptions of how the bodies of numerous, and by numerous it's I think 112 to be exact, women were found all around town. And within these descriptions are also stories that were interwoven, about various people being involved in the murders directly or indirectly. For example, this police officer, actually there are several police officers, and then I believe there's like a police officer's assistant who's really into true crime. Then there's like this reporter person. It gets very complex after a while. And then the other important portion of the book revolves around this elusive writer called Benno von Archimboldi. Gosh, I love that name. If I'm to have a pet fish ever in the future, I want to name him Archimboldi, or Archie in short. I think that would be so precious. But anyway, this Archimboldi dude has caused quite the intrigue among the literary world, particularly among a group of 4 literary critics whose lives pretty much revolved around Archimboldi's work. They get a bit too entwined with this guy's writing to the point where the boundaries in their own friendships start blurring, and then they all just start fucking each other. Actually, no, I'm kidding. The 3 men in this group in some way get romantically involved with the singular woman in the group. It's okay if they all fucked each other. It's not a big deal. Okay, then there's the end portion of the book, which was really tough for me to go through initially. It basically reveals the mystery behind Archimboldi and goes deep into a lot of graphic descriptions of war. I believe it's specifically World War II that he was referencing in the book. There were some really bizarre parts there, which I will leave to you to read on yourself. It sort of closes the loose threads that are kind of out there regarding the mystery of Archimboldi, the town of Santa Teresa and the murders as well. It kind of gives a backhanded explanation of who may have been the serial killer, but we still don't know if that's the truth, quote unquote. And yeah, that's pretty much it. I can breathe a huge sigh of relief and place this book in the very back of my bookshelf where I will not lay eyes on it for years and years and years. Or I can give it to another bookworm friend of mine and continue the cycle of torture. But here's this interesting part about this book. I don't know why, and I've tried to research it. This book is named 2666. Like, why? If it was just 666, maybe it would have been, something to do with, like, the occult or something. But why the 2 in front? And then that's why I wanted to also look up, the number of women that were, described in the book. But that was 112 women. So it's just weird. Apparently this number shows up in his other books as well. But it's just super cool, and the author is dead now. So it's not like you can really ask him why he named this book this. But yeah, that was very cool to know. And yeah, thank you for listening to me. Hope you're enjoying the podcast. If so, please leave a review for it on Spotify and Apple Podcasts. You can follow me on IG. My handle is @Sriracha on Toast. So sriracha like the sriracha like the sauce, on toast like the bread, but toasted. Check out my art for sale in the link in the description. The next book I will be doing a review on will most likely be nonfiction for a change, so I'm looking forward to that. I am excited. I'm looking forward to dissecting it all with you in the next episode. So till then, hope y'all enjoy your lives. Bye-bye.